My grandfather was an inspirational character. He was an innovator. He was unafraid really to try new things, which was a huge inspirational thing to a lot of people. And I think that's where the community got involved with him, in that he had that sense of adventure and that sense of curiosity about trying to do new things, and not to be afraid of or in awe too much of any one thing, but just go ahead and have a go at it. And as such, a lot of people rode in behind him, which was great, you know. And that's how this film came about, really.
Now, when he got the idea first, a lot of people thought that he was a bit daft and that this couldn't work. But as time went on and they saw what was going on, they got more involved, and it was a fantastic community effort, really. I mean, some of the acting was absolutely brilliant. They went off and they learned their own stories, and they learned their own lines, and they learned the whole lot. And if they made a mistake with the line, it made no difference. Carry on, it is fine. My grandfather, while he had the cinema, they showed scenery in Scotland and in England and wherever, you know. And he got the idea, do you know, we could do that for Ireland. So with his tourism interest, he decided he'd make a film showing the beautiful scenery around Killarney and elsewhere in the Kerry area. So he got the idea, okay, let's get a little story to go with it so that it's not all over the place. And he started the idea of the Dawn. Now, some months later, it turned out that it was a story. There was a major story with it, good storyline. He went off and bought the camera in England and flew home with it and started making the film itself.
My grandfather knew nothing about filmmaking at the time. He just basically learned as he went, which was, I suppose, the whole film was about that, you know, that they actually just did things and found out if it worked later and put it all together then. And in that sense, it was an experiment, and, you know, it just happened to all come together very well for them.
We don't want to have anything at all to do with the British Empire. We just want to be left alone to work out our own civilization and our own future in our own way.
You'd make a wonderful mob orator, Brian.
Talking won't do much. That time has passed.
The film was about a very real human story during a time when there was an invasion of the Black and Tans. And the story, while it was historic, was very, very human.
The day for feather-bed soldiers is gone. There will be trouble, plenty of trouble. There will be danger. There may perhaps be death. If any of you have cold feet, now is the time to quit.
And I think that's what attracted a lot of people's attention to this as well, was that it was an understanding that they had, right? That there were so many families involved in this, and they had a sense of adding to their story, to the actual historical element of it as well.
Stars above are brightly shining, because there's nothing else.
Ah, come on, play your cards, don't be annoyed.
The community really rallied around my grandfather during this whole project. There was very little electricity during the day to actually run something like this. So they had to conserve the energy during the day, and they had to work at night, producing, running the reels, the whole lot. So all the people, they used to literally go working during the day, go home for something to eat, and then up along Moll's Gap, or over to the National Park, or in around Killarney, shooting this film at night, because they hadn't enough electricity to run the machinery. But the community were fantastic. The major actors were all basic, ordinary people in Killarney, like himself, that some of them now did, we'll say, live through the story of the Dawn during, we call, the troubled times. And they had their own real personal experiences. So a lot of them would have been on the run or whatever, involved in the old IRA and all the rest of it. So they were reliving a lot of this on the screen.
The film itself was scripted loosely on Irish history. The fact that the cast had first-hand knowledge of some of this was a huge part of it as well. The story goes that many of them would have told him what happened in the actual battlefields as such, and they would have been just reenacting something for film.
It is a community production. While he did maybe drive it that little bit more than whatever, he got the idea, but it was the community that drove it.
People were curious. It was only going on in the evening, and it tended to draw a crowd, really, not the least of which were the younger people. People really wanted to be involved and have a part, and even however small. This was groundbreaking from the point of view of it being the first sound production in Ireland. This was new technology. Nobody had used it in Ireland. All the Caelan films were silent movies. So this was a very real, new, kind of innovative approach to almost a documentary style of filmmaking. The two aspects of both the film, the historical aspect, and the storytelling aspect were paramount in that, really, you know.
Take them away. Lock them up.
Because the thing was being filmed in the evening, everybody was available. So everybody was there, and cinema was such a central part of the community at that time, without TV, that they felt if they were going to be in any way involved in being on the screen, it was like a larger than life thing to them, and they would have really looked forward to that and tried to do whatever they could to make it happen.
But it's amazing the amount of people that turn up that have so many connections with the Dawn, and they're very proud of it now. Now, the family itself, the Cooper family itself, are very proud of it, obviously. But so is Killarney, and so are the people that are, you know, the Dado Hurleys and Florrie O'Sullivan and all these people that were all involved, and all their families. They're all very proud of it.
We were quite taken by the fact that the community still has a sense of involvement with it, you know. There were stories, of course, of people who were given one line and forgot it, stage fright, and basically were never forgiven by their families again. You know, those kind of stories abound, really, and every family that to this day has a link to the actual film will have some story of like that.
It was a wonderful achievement for its time. I mean, they were literally making talking movies in America, in Hollywood. And here were the boys, here inside in Killarney, making up their own thing, you know.
It's an important tribute to their families, you know, that the thing was sold out on 2 nights. We didn't anticipate that there was going to be any take on this at all. 75 years down the road, we were getting ready to mothball this and send it to the IFI, and we were quite taken by the fact that the community still has a sense of involvement with it. You know, the fact that the Dawn worked as a community project was, you know, a once-off, which was fantastic.